How do you feel about Trump? Like I feel like lately it's become like a bit of like a hot topic, I guess. Like kind of some people get
Man,
get mad about that.
I want him to succeed because if he
Yeah.
succeed, we gonna
He's your
succeed.
president, yeah.
If he don't, we all are screwed.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? And we all are screwed.
yeah,
So
Good
it
way
would
of
be
saying
crazy for me to wish bad on him,
Yeah.
and that's gonna come back to me.
but I do feel like that's happening. Like there are Americans that don't want him to succeed.
Well, again, there's good and bad in everybody.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? So how come we can't get all of the good people to come together, and then we could stump this madness out overnight? But we can't. Good people are afraid of other good people, and they believe in the same Jesus, and won't even speak to each other.
yeah, that's crazy. I feel like maybe that's because with the political system, it is only two parties. So it's either you're on my side or you're like
Well,
the enemy.
but see, nobody's looking at the little simple things we disagree on. Like, look at the people in divorce court, child support, all right, probate court. You got parents living under the same roof, sleeping in separate bedrooms, raising dysfunctional children, and they'll turn around and say they don't hate nobody. But they can't even sleep in the same bed with the person they once said they loved.
Wow, yeah.
Look at sports. How many people hate themselves over sports? Now pour some race and politics on top of that. You got a lethal explosion. See, there are so many simple things that we hate each other for because we disagree and we're not talking about it. And then when we pour some race and politics on top of it, now it's lethal.
You know how to put it, sir. You know very well how to put it. Do you have any last advice for people or some words for people?
Man, say what you mean what you say. All right, your word is all you got. And that's what we need to get back to is, there's a lack of trust, not only just in America, but the world. We don't want to trust each other. And that's good versus evil. Okay, so if we could just get good people to come together, man, we could stump this madness out overnight. And that's what I'm trying to do, get good people to come together.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Sir.
You're welcome.
You have a good day.
You too. You too.
Wow, that was awesome. What a guy. All right, let's see if there's some more people that I could talk to. So we got the White House right here. So the guy here to my right, like before I came up, they were like fighting. I don't know what about, but they were like really mad though.
Bring it on! It's not Mexico!
Because he's an asshole, that's why. Because he's an asshole. He's an asshole. That's why. That's why I'm using that language. He's an asshole. Fuck you too. How you gonna tell me what to do? Take your ass back over something. Just get the fuck on. Fuck on. Yeah. You like that, don't you? You like that. You like that. You piece of shit.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can talk to him, but he seems a little mad. Excuse me, sir. Can I talk to you? Can I ask you some questions? I noticed you.
First, I'm going to explain something to you.
Okay.
I cannot edit what you're saying, what you have there.
Yes, but it is unedited.
Bullshit.
Sorry?
That's bullshit.
Why is that?
Who's going to edit this?
It's just me with my camera. I just put it up online, like.
You can
No,
believe that if you want.
I just want to ask her. You don't have to.
Know better.
Know better in what
You
way?
don't know better, but I know better.
In what way?
I don't know what you're going to do with this.
Well, I can just ask some simple questions, but I mean, you don't have to answer them. Like you have a stand right here. Are you here every day?
Why is that your business?
I don't know. I mean, you're standing here in front of the White House, sir. I'm just asking some questions.
So you're standing here too?
Yes. It's a public street.
Yeah.
Well, I notice you are like against hate and against war, but I don't know why you're being so hostile right now.
Well, you're not credible.
I never claimed to be credible. I'm just a guy like asking some questions.
Well, if you need to record it, then that's your problem.
Okay, you have a good day, sir. Damn, I guess he was right. That guy is an asshole. Unbelievable.
Decide that a country that's controlled to some extent by terrorists, that country can be obliterated. We're not behaving like a civilized nation.
What's your meaning about all what he says? We come from Europe. And
Yes.
It's hard to understand from Europe what happens in America. What's your meaning?
I come from New Zealand.
Okay, sure, good. Okay, so you're not American?
No.
Okay, good.
So, like, I mean, we support what Trump's doing. I personally support what Trump's doing because he's
What were you saying?
for New Zealand.
I was just asking, is Gaza bigger than you say? If you don't, America doesn't does strategic strikes. Would you call Hiroshima and Nagasaki a strategic strike?
Yes, in fact, I will call Hiroshima a strategic strike. And I was born during the war. I was taught lessons about World War II and about fascism and about the menace of Japan. I was taught those things as a child by people that experienced them, people that were in uniform, boots on the ground. And I will tell you, the decision that they made to level a city, non-combatants, that decision was made in lieu of the only other answer to stopping Japan, which was leveling Tokyo. And they were starting to level Tokyo, if you know your history. They were firebombing Tokyo because they had no other way to stop the Japanese war machine. Okay, well, read up on it, huh?
Hey, how are you, sir?
Fine, thank you.
Can I ask you a question? I'm a tourist foreigner. When you say hate won't make America great, what hate exactly are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about, I come to this message from my own background. My parents were childhood immigrants from Eastern Europe.
Okay, where
They came
in Eastern
here,
Europe?
my mom from Moldova, my dad from Belarus.
Okay.
They came as children and met in the States and married and got me and my sister. They were treated by the American public, by the American laws, as refugees. They needed refuge from where they were from. They were not safe there. They had no opportunity there. They were allowed to come here and work hard. They were allowed to come here and to some extent be subsidized because the education system was made available to them for free.
Okay.
But that gave them the opportunity to raise children, to be safe, and to have a decent life. We don't do that now. There are no easy answers to how to do that, but I know when you're as rich as we are and as big as we are, we have an obligation to help people who can't help themselves. At the very least, we have that. The obligation both to those people and the obligation to ourselves, because we're a nation of immigrants. And we became the nation, the strong and intelligent and rich nation we are, because immigrants came and brought their labor and brought their intelligence and brought their allegiance to this country. We need to continue that. When we have people who use the phrase, and this I can quote, immigrants are vermin. When you use a word like vermin, for me, it's a word that I can only think of as a German background word that would have been used by the Nazis about people that they didn't think qualified as people and had to be exterminated the way you'd exterminate a roach or a mouse.
Okay.
I will not ever accept that anybody can categorize immigrants that way. Not anybody who has a I can say it, but he has a microphone that the world listens to. And if he does that, that man does that, I condemn him for that.
Okay.
And if people support him and his policies, and maybe some of the things make sense, and some of them do in fact make sense. Trade deficits, some of the inequities as to how much we contribute toward defending the rest of the world. I understand they have to be addressed. Some of the inefficiencies of the way we operate our very, very big government. They have to be addressed, but not the way he's addressing them.
Okay. And do you think that maybe some people voted for him in spite of like maybe these things, the way you mentioned how they treat immigrants, but mostly because of the other policies that they agree with?
I do believe his base support is people who feel that they've been left out of the growth and the richness of America. and they are right, and they have a fair argument.
Okay.
I do believe neither of the major parties ever really did. They spoke about making things a level playing field. We use phrases like that. With this thing on the back of my sign, liberty and justice for all. We talk as if justice were, in fact, evenly distributed in our country. It's not true. Our resources, we've had tremendous economic growth in this country.
Yeah.
But that growth has not been distributed even close to fairly. The people who produce that wealth, the workers, I sound like a communist, I'm not a communist, but the workers who produce that wealth have gotten really less and less of a share of the wealth, instead of more and more, so that everybody would be raised. I'm not saying everybody's equal and everybody should own a mansion or a luxury car. That's not necessary. What's necessary in a rich country like this is everybody should have a chance in education. Everybody should have sufficient food. Everybody should have sufficient medical attention. Everybody should have a decent place to live. And we are capable with our resources of providing that. And when we don't provide that, then we are not the country we could be. And I want this to be the country we could be.
Okay. And don't you think that's the case right now, where people have education,
Absolutely
like food?
not.
And, no?
There's such an inequality to that.
Okay.
We in fact allow people to, just start with health care.
Yeah.
We don't provide universal health care. We are the only civilized country that has in their language the phrase medical bankruptcy. That doesn't exist in the rest of the civilized world.
Yeah.
I mean the wealthy world. For others, yes.
Like the
for
first
poor,
world, let's say,
but
yeah.
first world.
Yeah.
So when we have a word and a common practice of people becoming impoverished because of something they can't conceivably control. An illness to a child, an illness to an adult, a serious problem with an older person, they end up being impoverished, no longer being able to live a reasonable standard of living because of that. So if that's the case, no, that's not equitable. The other thing about even educational opportunity, we have the illusion of educational equality. But the truth is that in any institution, any private educational institution in this country is unaffordable for 60 or 70% of the population.
Okay.
So only the elite go to those. Now we do have state university systems depending on the progressiveness of the state, the wealth of the state. I went through college on scholarship.
Yeah.
We still have that. But that's because I'm really smart. And other kids raised in my neighborhood ended up being clerks in stores or bank tellers or whatever thing, noble things. They did noble jobs. They were good people.
Yeah.
And they led good lives as far as I know.
Yeah.
But they never had the opportunity I had just for a fluke of birth.
Yeah.
I just happened to be quicker as a child than they were. So I got promoted more. I skipped grades. I went to a special high school.
And then higher academic
and
scholarships.
why is that? And of course, there's no predictability then as to what happens to a young adult.
Yeah.
Young adults continue to develop.
Yeah.
So many of those people who would have continued to develop if there was fairness in distributing the opportunity to be educated, they just didn't have that. Because in poorer families, if you didn't go out to work, you were another mouth to feed.
Yeah, exactly.
And my mom and dad couldn't have continued feeding me. I mean, they did. They do anything they could. Trust me, I had the nicest, most devoted parents. But
You often see that with immigrant parents, right?
Oh, absolutely. But my parents had one of the wonderful things that immigrants often bring. They felt that the opportunity this country offered wasn't for them. It was for their children.
Okay.
And so they tolerated a lifestyle that I would have found very, very difficult. I never knew we were poor because as a child, I never felt deprived of anything.
Okay.
And then growing up, I had this tremendous opportunity of going to school, of entering a different class. My dad worked with his hands. My mom was a bookkeeper, but it's not a well-paying. Excuse me, I just got to shut this off.
Okay.
Come on. Hey Siri, stop alarm. Okay, good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you go to college?
I went to
Or university?
I went to college. I was sent to college by the U.S. Navy. So
Okay.
I went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, and I was a chemistry major. The U.S. Navy needed technical people and couldn't pay competitive wages. So they paid the poor kids, tested us, sent us through college with the agreement that we would work for them for a short while afterwards. But I worked for my entire career for them.
Oh, so what was your job exactly?
I was a chemist initially, so research chemist.
Okay.
But then I became a manager for research programs and later on a manager for information programs. Big organizations like the U.S. Navy. So many things are happening in parallel that how you report them and how you distribute the information about them becomes an important factor as to how useful the information is. That's what I do.
Oh, okay, that's very cool. And you mentioned your parents are from Eastern Europe, right? So they fled communism?
No, because they fled in
Or was it before?
Well, my dad was caught in Belarus during the Russian Revolution.
Oh, wow.
His
Okay.
dad came here first
Okay.
to try to get out of Belarus and try to send for the family, and they were stuck there for 7 years. So from 1917 to 23, so 6 years.
Yeah.
They were stuck there until the money could be gotten together for them to get out. My mom came with her widowed mother, and that was a family member had come here from Moldova. A family member had come here. But again, not fleeing from, well, my background is Jewish. I'm not a believer, but my background's Jewish. They were, as Jews, were persecuted severely in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And they were from a poorer class, so the combination was unbeatable.
Yeah, that's rough. Wow, and Guantanamo Bay, can I ask some questions about that?
This is Guantanamo Bay. I will get out of your way.
Okay.
That's not part of my thing.
Okay, I thought you guys were all together.
These people are quite capable of speaking for themselves.
Okay.
I will get out of your way.
Okay, well, thank you very much,
Nice
sir.
to meet you.
And you have a nice day.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure, you can.
Okay, so Guantanamo Bay, I'm from Europe, so I've heard of it, but I'm a bit unschooled, let's say. So it is a prison?
It's actually a base that we stole from Cuba back in the Spanish-American War.
Okay.
It never gave back, but yes, there's a big prison there, and that's where these torture victims of ours have been languishing.
Okay.
I believe it was, is that right, Helen?
What?
About 880 people were there at one time?
870 in all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And most of them probably sold by bounty hunters. No questions asked.
Yeah.
$2,000 a piece.
Wow.
And tortured into false confessions.
Okay.
And so now there are 30 innocent people there that have been cleared a long time. Helen?
There are 15 people left.
Inside Guantanamo Bay.
Inside Guantanamo Bay.
How many of them?
I think 6 of them. 3 of them have been cleared for release, and they still haven't been released.
Wow.
3 of them have been determined to be not safe to be released, but they're not being charged with anything. And not safe for release means that they are simply still not cooperating with the guards who have kept them in.
Okay.
You know,
And are these American citizens?
Oh no, these are all Muslims from the Middle East.
Oh, okay.
And rather than, they brought them to Guantanamo with the sole purpose of not doing anything with them within the United States, so that they would be outside the rule of law of the United States. Fortunately, our court system has not allowed that to be the case.
Okay.
But they're still not. They're still holding people that indefinitely for 15 years with no charge. They're holding people who have been charged. Most specifically, the people that are accused of being responsible for the 9/11 plot.
Okay. Is there any proof behind that, or?
Well, they can't enter any of it into the court because they refuse to enter into the court the situation of their treatment.
Yeah.
And so
Tortured.
every time they were tortured so brutally, and the prosecution, which is the military government, and this is a military tribunal, which is based not on U.S. law, but on laws that were created for this particular military tribunal.
Oh, wow.
So they allow the prosecution to say that they don't have to, that they can withhold evidence. They can show evidence to the judge that they don't show to the defendants.
Wow.
And that's not what our Constitution says.
And that's going on right now, as
Right
we
now.
speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of analogous to sending all those so-called violent Venezuelans that they never proved were violent
Right.
to the secret prison. It's like this theory is ship them out of the country and they aren't protected by the Constitution, which is nonsense because it was done here in the United States to send them off. So all of that is all smoke and mirrors. And there were 3 crooked lawyers that worked for President Bush that came up with all this nonsense, started it. 9/11 apparently gave people a lot of permission to do very fascistic treatments of people. It was an excuse to abuse civil rights, which they've done here in this country by spying on people without warrants. So it's, when we tolerate this kind of behavior, we're asking for it to come back on us, the people, the regular people, so-called citizens.
And for us regular people, what can be done about this?
Regular people in the United States
Yes.
can
Visit offices.
visit congressional offices and say this is not right.
Okay.
Do
In the rest of
sit-ins.
the world, we're here every first Wednesday of the month to support Andy Worthington in London, who has been a defender of the men of Guantanamo since the very beginning. And he's an activist, a journalist, a musician, and he has managed to organize vigils every first Wednesday of the month all around the world. Mexico
Okay.
City, there are people vigiling right now. Well, I don't know what time, but maybe not right now.
Okay.
Mexico City,
New York
Belgium, New York City, London, Los Angeles,
Okay, wow.
Detroit.
Okay.
So people can find out if there's a vigil near them, or they can create their own and stand on a street corner and join this vigil,
Now,
and then
and
look
they-
up Andy Worthington
Okay.
and go find his website and find the web page where you can email him and send a picture of yourself, and you can join those of us who will take our pictures and send them to Andy, and he
Okay.
sends pictures of everybody.
And they can
Okay.
also join Witness Against Torture,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Witness Against
Okay.
Torture. What is it? WitnessTorture.org or Witness
Yeah.
Against. What is it
Well,
now?
but you can get a newsletter from Witness Against Torture. Yeah.
Okay.
WitnessTorture.org.
Okay. I think this is a very noble cause, and thank you for raising
Where are
awareness.
you from?
I'm from the Netherlands, Amsterdam.
great.
Oh,
Yes,
beautiful.
Europe.
I think, let me see where. There's probably a vigil in the Netherlands. I
Okay.
just can't remember.
Okay, when I'm back, I will check it out.
Wonderful.
Okay, thank you. You have a good day.
Nice to talk to you.
Bye. Bye. Oh, so there's like a bunch of different things that they are protesting all around. It's not necessarily like there's one thing that they are all here for. I love the song though, such a good song. All right, so that was all for today. I always find it interesting to hear different people's opinions, people's perspective. So I think it's cool to listen to and to stay objective and just let them speak, let them be heard. I hope you guys enjoy these type of videos. If you do, definitely like the video, maybe subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment. And this was all Dwilla out from the White House. Bye.